Time now to take a look through the French papers with Elena Casas. Hello, Elena. Just a few days to go then before that runoff in the French presidential election. What's making headlines?
Well, of course, the election's on Sunday, but there's a big clash scheduled between the French right and left for tomorrow, which is the 1st of May, of course, traditionally the Union's annual march through the streets of France and absolutely sacred to the French left. It's, of course, a public holiday here and very widely celebrated, the annual celebration of workers' rights. This year, though, Nicolas Sarkozy has decided to have a counter-rally in the middle of Paris, which is deliberately timed and designed, really, to provoke the left and the unions, with whom he already has a terrible relationship. He spent a lot of time in this presidential campaign accusing the unions of setting themselves up as false representatives of the workers, whereas he says he's talking to people who do real work. Here he is on the front page of Libération, a cartoon of him in a worker's uniform, in overalls, with the Front National badge on his hat there, as you can see, and with a placard that says work more to work more to work more. Of course, for the left-wing paper, that's what they reckon workers have got out of 5 years of a Sarkozy presidency, not the work more to earn more slogan, which brought him to power in 2007. So if he then says that he's representing people who do real work, that implies, as the union leader, the CFDT leader, François Chérec, tells the paper in a very angry interview indeed, that the president thinks a lot of people in France, especially public servants whose jobs he wants to cut, do fake work. He's pretty furious about that inside the paper. The paper's editorial says that he, even among his own right-wing supporters within his party, this allegation, or this attempt really to turn the 1st of May, which is normally fairly consensual here in France, into a big political clash on the streets of Paris, has been widely decried by many on the right, saying it's just too provocative to upset the left and the unions in this way, for the president to set himself up against the unions like this. Over at the communist paper L'Humanité, they are equally angry. They've got this very cross front page, the 1st of May, our day, our demands, it says. Inside, a number of union activists set out what their demands are. Of course, really, these are more directed towards François Hollande, the socialist candidate, who they hope is listening to their left-wing proposals, than they are towards Nicolas Sarkozy. Of course, they're things like try and lower unemployment by creating a policy based on growth, which is something that François Hollande feels now that he's getting more support across Europe for. And in the paper's editorial, they say that France's workers will not be intimidated by Nicolas Sarkozy's attempts to take their day, the 1st of May, and make it his own. Another thing they're really worried about is that after the election, we may see swathes of mass redundancies here in companies in France, after it was reported last week that the president had put pressure on some CEOs to put off their redundancy plans until after the election.
Yes, that would make him look bad, wouldn't it? So tomorrow set to be a very busy day on the streets of Paris. Moving on now to accusations made by Dominique Strauss-Kahn, making the right defensive and making the left, the socialists, distance themselves from him.
Yes, he's erupted back into the presidential campaign this weekend, just when you thought you'd seen the last of him. He's over here on the front page of Le Figaro, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. Now, their exclusive today is what exactly he told the judges in the Carlton case. Now, remember, this is the one around the ring of prostitutes with which he was supposedly involved in Lille in France, on which he could face grounds of aggravated pimping, which is a crime in France. They've turned up the tapes of what exactly he said to investigators when he was heard by them about a month ago. Of course, it's things really that we've heard before, him denying that he knew the women involved were prostitutes. But what's really catapulted him onto the front pages this weekend was an interview he says he didn't give, but an interview that was published by The Guardian on Saturday, in which he alleged that Sarkozy and people close to him had set him up, that they had persuaded Nafissatou Diallo, the woman who, of course, accused him of raping her in that New York hotel room, to go to the police, and that they had been stalking him, and that Sarkozy had been using the intelligence services to hack his phones. Now, he actually has denied now that he said that. So it's all become very complicated, who got what from where, when. But this is, as you said, very much put François Hollande and the left on the defensive. François Hollande doesn't want the public to be reminded of how he isn't Dominique Strauss-Kahn, of how Strauss-Kahn should have been the candidate, how he's more economically experienced, how he's more charismatic, how he was a lot more popular. And a lot of the left are now running away from any association with him.
OK, thank you very much, Elena.